Welcome to another rant of the day. This goes into the last rant that it was on, that volume is not the answer to everything, right? It's the appropriate amount of volume, and the problem with the appropriate amount of the volume is that it turns into 10,000 hour of fatigue, and it promotes poor movement patterns, right? Let's talk about two different individuals now, right? And this is going to go into kind of the next item, which is going to be training versus competition, and why, again, this segues into volume is not the answer for everything, right? We have two segments of people. We have fit for life individuals that are here at the gym just trying to make sure what they do here translates into real life so they're a more durable human, right? Then we have the competitive athlete that's trying to do really well in the open, that's trying to go to regionals, that's trying to go eventually to the CrossFit Games, right? CrossFit is their sport. Same exact thing. Training versus competition. Let's talk about what training is for both of those. Training needs to be something that you are trying to have virtuous movement, you're being relentless with your movement pattern, your stability, your control, right? Inside your training regimen. For the Fit for Life people, this is literally every time they're in the gym, right? For the competitive athlete, this is every time they are not on the competitive floor. Essentially, guess what? When you're here at the gym, right? Let's talk about those two demographics going into competition. Guys, competition for the Fit for athlete, right? For life athlete is outside of the gym. That is going ahead and doing a crap ton of yard work, right? And making sure you keep yourself in the correct position. Moving gigantic mounds of like rockery because you're doing hard scape or soft scape like from outdoors, and you're lifting 5,000 pounds over a week, right? Because you're doing whatever outside, right? Because you're helping your friend move, right? Competition for a competitive athlete is going to be when you're on the competitive floor. As I said, open, regionals, the games, the local competition. Let's talk about this mindset of when you're actually going to be training and competing. When you're training, you should be controlling your volume to make sure there's a certain level of fatigue that you're never reaching, so that way, right, unless it's very specific of when and the coach tells you when you're supposed to hit that line, right, so you're able to keep movement patterns controlled. You're able to have more stability, more control, know where your range of motion is, know what positions that you're happening, that you can adjust that as you start to get tired, but you're never actually losing full stability and control, right? This is going to go ahead and instill then durable movement patterns, right? Durable movement patterns, we're trying to ingrain that in your training environment, right? In your training environment. And when you make yourself bulletproof and making durable movement patterns, and no matter if you're tired, right? And you know, the variability of from 1 to 10, 1 being like locked in, looks perfect, 10 meaning like it looks completely like shite. Yeah, cool, it did go from ground to overhead, but it didn't even look like a snatch, right? The Lord knows what it is. That we're trying to create a durable movement pattern to where until you're at the very, very far end range of fatigue, that it's always within 1 to 3 on that range, right? It keeps you safe. It makes sure overuse injuries is less likely to occur, or a catastrophic acute injury, right, doesn't occur. And guess what? Because you have all this movement pattern that you're creating durable just movements, right? You're making more of yourself of a bulletproof individual. When it's time to go all out, right? On the competitive floor, if it's a Fit for Life athlete, right? This is like, cool, like whatever you want to imagine, worst case scenario that you could ever imagine yourself being in. Not like zombie apocalypse type of thing, but like, hey, like my car broke down, I have to push my car out of the middle of the street into the gas station because it broke down, or Lord knows that you're able to do it in the correct movement pattern, you're able to apply the right force. So when you have that all out type of exertion, right? When it's your competitive for life, or it's a competitive athlete, when it is on the floor, that you can push yourself all the way to that end range of fatigue, and you have so much control and stability within the movement that you can hit that 10 level of fatigue and it still resembles something. Because if we consistently in training start to resemble something that's somewhat out of control, what do you think is going to happen? What your movement pattern, what your endurance, what it's going to look like when you finally hit that level of 10 full out exertion? you're gonna start feeling reps. You're gonna have an injury. You're gonna create so many more problems, right? And we wonder why during the year, right, we put all this work in, and when it comes time to your competitive time, right, fit for life, right, or competitive athlete, that we don't execute as well as we had hoped. We have that disappointment, right? Like, oh man, like it just didn't do as well. Like, because most of us have this skewed version of volume, which also leads us into a skewed version of training versus competition, right? That's where I'm gonna leave it. That's my rant for today.